Signal versus noise. What a great conversation this morning coming out of the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. Carl White has been bringing this whole series, I think, for the next few Tuesdays, Frank, around assets and liability. And today we talked about is what you're doing a signal or is it noise? What did he mean by that?
So it was great, and it is a great topic. And he started off by bringing up our calendar, right? And
Yeah,
so making sure that we've got our day laid out correctly so that we can, produce the most. Basically, is
right.
what it comes down to. And in that exploration of the calendar, he brought up this matter of signal versus noise. Signal being things that we do that are going to produce for us, right?
Right,
Things that
right.
are revenue generating activities. This is signal, right?
Hmm.
So noise are activities that are taking us away from those activities, right? So example would be, hey man, getting on the phone for 2 hours, making outbound prospecting calls, signal, right? That's definitely, we can hear the signal through the noise there. We know that that is signal, right? Money generating activity. Noise is emails pop up, text messages come in, phone calls come in while we're doing that, and they distract us from
Hmm.
what we should be doing. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between signal and noise, being able to identify, or hear the signal through the noise. Because our day, Steve, is naturally, as loan originators, there's a lot of noise in the day, right? There's
Oh, for
just
sure. Sure.
so much noise. But can we
Emails, phone
see or
calls,
hear the signal through it
interruptions.
all? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And work on those items instead of the noise.
Yeah, well, hey,
So,
and it's powerful. You guys use this illustration because you're a ham radio operator,
mhm.
and it's so interesting. You can spin that dial, and it sounds like noise, but
Mm.
to a trained ear, you can hear the signal, and it's like, oh, I'm going to hone in right there because.
Right.
So talk to us about that, like,
So
because
you
that
can
that was
actually,
such a
even in
great.
ham radio, it's actually a really good analogy because you hear a lot of noise, but you might hear a faint signal there. The radios have filters on them. So you can kind
Okay.
of filter out the noise
Oh yeah.
and just focus in on the signal and hear the signal better. So that's really what we need to do in our business as well, is be able to filter out the
Oh yeah.
noise, right? And just focus on the signal. Something Carl said today that really stood out to me is he said, you know what? My noise is someone else's signal.
That hey, this is a powerful point. I love
Right.
this. Talk about it.
Yeah. So you think about that. My noise, the things that I consider to be noise, the things that get in my way, there's other people that I may already have on my team or could put on my team or connect with. That noise, that's their signal.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they're
Yeah.
chasing,
Yeah.
right? That's what
Yeah.
they're after. What a wonderful scenario that would be,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
And
I've
and, and hey, what's so cool is that's the way God's created relationships and people. Think about it. It's like what I hate doing. Like let's give a real example. So I get a brand new lead in. I can't stand to set up the loan, to chase the documents, to put in the loan scenario, update the closing cost, make sure the bank statements match and the pay stubs match, and somebody went through the K1s. But you've got somebody who's uniquely gifted at the details, and their personality might actually be like a high C, very compliant, detail oriented. They're like, give it to me. I love this. And I'm
right.
connecting the dots, and I'm like, that's nails on chalkboard for me. And, and so what I love to do is have the conversations, to make the calls, to talk about family and relationships and go to the meetings and teach the events and do great content. And what's so cool is that you can build a team where their signal are the things that keep you focused, like they're pulling all this busy work off of you
Right.
so that you can go focus on the real money making activity. And
Exactly.
that's what I love is that first off, we got to identify, is my day full of signals or noise? And
Mm.
how do you do it, Frank? I think if I were to encourage our audience very practically, starting right now, when you get to a stopping point, just track what you do today and tomorrow and the next day every 30 minutes. Start
Yeah.
at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning till you're done, and just say, okay, what did I do from 8 to 8:30? What did I do
Mm.
from 8:30 to 9? And if you'll take an honest assessment of what you're doing, what's remarkable, Frank, is you'll probably find that there's a lot of noise.
Hmm.
Hey, my company had 12 meetings I went to. Awesome. Maybe you need to say no to a few of them.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I found myself checking my emails every 10 minutes. Well, what if you checked your emails 3 times a day? Once in
Right.
early morning, once at lunch, and once right before you head out. But we have to identify signal versus noise. You know why, Frank? Because here's what you'll hear. Oh, closing 2 loans. My gosh, I'm so busy.
Overwhelmed.
I'm so busy. I don't have any time to do anything. And that's really not the truth. You know what I found, and you found this too. Whether you got 2 loans or 20 loans, they'll both take up the same amount of time, all
Yeah.
of your day.
Yeah. All of your day.
Oh,
That's right. It'll
that's the
two loans will
truth.
find a way to take up all of your day.
Will,
Yeah.
man.
But I tell you, your point about writing everything down, this is nothing new, right?
Yeah.
In sales. This is nothing new in mortgage or real estate. I mean, this has been taught by countless coaches,
Yeah.
for decades. But it's something that's really not done very often by people, and it really does need to get done. In fact, it's inspired me to do it again. You're in a new chapter. I'm in a new chapter. We're both going. So now's a good time to do it again,
Oh,
right? To
yeah.
to
Yeah.
look at it again, and to this matter of just really focusing and for like a week, really focus and understand what you do every day, and then be able to lay that list out of everything that's getting done, and then decide, well, what are the things that I love to do, that I do
Yeah.
really well, that make me the most money, and
Right.
be able to circle those things and say, these are the things that I want to do. Then you have all these other things that you can go, okay, now I've got a job description for somebody, right? I've
Yes.
I've I've
Yes.
composed a job description. This is the job description, right? These are the
Yes.
things that this job needs. Now there may be two jobs in that, right? Because you're right. There may be a job for one person to structure, just like you said, just like that's the guy who gets the deal, who loves solving the puzzle, who
Right.
loves putting all the pieces together, who loves saying this is the program, and this is
Right.
what is going to.
Right.
There's that person, but there's also the person who's just so gifted at making sure the emails are answered, dealing with the other administrative sort of things that just need to get done, right? So you may actually develop two job descriptions.
Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. I'd also love to hear from you. Make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or what it is you want to see next. And we'll see you on the inside. See you. I love it.
And
I
then
love
now
it.
you're in a position, Steve, where you could go, okay, I need two other people. Maybe if I can't afford them, maybe I can find someone else who needs those two other people, and someone else, and maybe we could share, like these
Mhm,
people, and
mhm.
that kind of thing. But at least it gives you the perspective
Yeah.
of, maybe you can't do it today, but you can
Yes.
time block your day to handle those would be other jobs, right? You can time block that if you're only doing a couple of loans a month, right? So now you know what you're time blocking,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or you are in a position hopefully where you can actually go, okay, I need to bring someone on. At least I know exactly what they need to do, instead
Yes.
of bringing them on, going, I don't know, I just need help,
Yeah.
and then you go nowhere. You
Hey,
just waste money.
there's two limiting beliefs that I hear in what you're saying. Number one is I'll never find that person. That's the first limiting
Mm-hmm.
belief. Because look, if I'm not going to do it and I don't want to do it and I don't like to do it, who else is going to do it? Limiting belief number one.
Mm-hmm.
Understand your signal or your noise is somebody else's signal. I love that analogy. So I challenge you. Frank challenges you. Put together a job description and then say, hey, put it out there. Find out, post it, put it on your Facebook. Hey guys, help me. I'm looking for somebody. And here's limiting belief number two, Frank. I can't afford it. And what I would challenge people is you can't afford not to.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening in most people's mind, because Frank, I just did this. I just did this for outbound callers. I literally did what you said. I need somebody to help me wake up my past clients. I need somebody to help me wake up my realtors. And guess what? I didn't want to spend 60 grand a year for two different positions. What I said was, hey, what if I did these part time and did 8 to 10, 12, 15 hours a week? And I did it for one position and I ended up finding two people for about 10 hours a week, to one that wakes up past clients, one that wakes up realtors. Frank, they booked me 7 appointments yesterday,
No kidding.
part time. And then, here's limiting belief number one. I'll never find that person. You will. somebody else can do and will love doing what you either can't do or shouldn't be doing. And number two, you don't need somebody full time. What if you just put a very simple Facebook post out, not to public, but just to your sphere of influence, and said, I'll tell you what I did. I just said, hey, I'm looking for a relationship manager. I've got
Mm.
2,000 past clients. I've got about 1,700 agents I've worked with. And I need somebody to make outbound calls and just wake up the relationships and schedule me appointments. I literally used ChatGPT and said, here's what I need you to do. Put it as a
Mm.
job description. Frank, 20 people responded,
No kidding.
and there were three that came to the top. And I listen to how cool this is. One of them I used to work with 20 years ago.
Hmm.
The other one was a past client who
No
said, I've
kidding.
loved following you and Stephanie's stories. And guess what I did? As I said, well, listen, I got two. I'm not doing full time. It's 8 to 15 hours. That's all they want to do. And guess what? I hired one for past clients and one for realtors. And brother,
Hmm.
it's been remarkable. And the reason
Unreal.
why I say that is because, like, even on the part time pre approval specialist, you don't even have to, you need somebody setting up files. You don't have to take on a full salary. Look in your company, look at other people that are underutilized and not being fully utilized, where maybe you could pitch in a few $100 a week,
Hmm.
two, four, $500 a week to get that front end support
Hmm.
until you get enough volume to support them full time. But I would encourage you this, if like, what are the activities you need to focus on? What is everything else? That's your job description, and stop asking how and start asking, what would it look like? What
Hmm.
would it look like if I had somebody set up 5 to 7 of my files a week? What
Yeah.
would I need to pay someone, or where would I find someone? And what you'll do is you'll stop asking yourself limiting belief. Like, the disempowering question is how. If you knew how, you already would. The better
Hmm.
question is, what would it look like if?
Hmm.
What would
Hmm.
it look like for me not to have to make these? You know what I
Hmm.
found out? Because that's what I kept thinking about, Frank. You want to scale faster, you simply got to have more conversations. Well,
Hmm.
what would it look like to have more conversations? Well, what if we had somebody call in clients? All right. What if we had even more conversation? What if somebody's focused on agents while I'm doing the same? And I think you just got to ask, what would it look like? And that's how you begin to really hone in on the signal and start getting rid
Hmm.
of the noise. And it
Hmm.
doesn't matter if you don't have a ton of money, because you know what I found, Frank? Resources follow vision. Well, what's your vision? Well, my vision is I want to stay hyper focused on sales activity. Well, what would it look like to do that? Well, somebody else has got to do this.
Hmm.
Okay, well, how many hours a week would they need to do that? All right,
Right.
what would that person look like? Where's an underutilized resource? What would it look like to have that person part time for me, setting up 10 files a week? And it's like you keep getting deeper and deeper in with more help because you're simply asking the right questions. So,
Hmm. Hmm. Man, this is good stuff,
yeah,
brother.
brother.
What would it look like? I like that a lot.
Yeah. Hey,
I
and
like that a
listen, if
lot.
you,
That's a better way to look at. I found myself yesterday, just
yeah,
yesterday, talking to my wife, and because I have my son-in-law who's helping me,
right.
and and it's not where I want it to be. And I would talk
Right.
to Brenda yesterday. I go, I just don't know how, to
Mm.
bring this along. That shouldn't be my position. My position should be,
What would it look
what would
like
it
to?
look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Yeah, what would it look like? And then you can bring it along easier that way
Oh,
because,
that's it.
yeah, you have what it would look like. I love
Right.
it, man. That's going to help me tremendously. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one. And don't get limited by income or hours. Again, it's a disempowering part because what's interesting is what you think no one else will do, someone will do. And the right person will do it. And more than likely, Frank, you already know them.
Right.
That's what's remarkable. It's like the more you begin to cast vision of, here's what I believe we can do, and here's what I'm looking for someone to do, you'll find somebody's your noise is somebody else's signal, and they're like,
Mm,
I love that. I love
mm,
making phone calls. I love having conversations. I love doing the paperwork, and
mm.
and that's what you're looking. The problem is we've heard, I tried that, it didn't work. And we've got to get past the limiting belief. No, we tried it. It didn't work. Well, let's try it a different way.
Yeah.
Hey, and one thing we can do at the Marketing Animals, go to freedomplanningcall.com, book a time with the team, and we'll help you build the perfect day or the perfect week and what we call a livable calendar. I know in week number 5, we spend the whole week in the 8-week boot camp focused on building a calendar that really starts with 3 things: focusing on personal, focusing on family, and the third one is focusing on sales.
Hmm.
And if you get the order of those 3 things right, everything else works. And we'll either help you build it on a call, look inside the membership, or maybe even the boot camp. It's an 8-week intensive. But go to freedomplanningcall.com. We'd love to help you. Frank, great conversation. Thank you for leading that the Breakfast Club this morning. If you don't know about the Loan Officer Breakfast Club, go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. Frank leads just an amazing morning show that we have Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Would love for you to come check it out. It's free. It's our gift to the industry. So freedomplanningcall.com or go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com to check out the Breakfast Club. All right, Frank.
Awesome, man. Well, sounds good. Let's get on with it, man.
All
And,
right,
and,
man.
and make
Anything
this.
we're doing is worth doing badly. Just get started.
All right.
Dig it.
Adios.